Hello and welcome to this week's At Home with the Wayne. My name is Tracy Straight and I'm the Executive Director of the historic Wayne Theater Ross Performing Arts Center in downtown Waynesboro, Virginia. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please also look for us on our website and YouTube channel. Tonight, the very talented Lesley Larsen, a director at the Wayne Theater, will be hosting this presentation. Lesley will be talking with two area high school drama teachers, Amy Bussey from Stuarts Draft High School and Cassy Maxton-Whitacre from the Governor's School. They will be sharing with us the importance of theatrical arts in schools with an emphasis of acting on stage. This evening's At Home with the Wayne is brought to you by our month of May sponsors, KK Homes, Your Dream, Our Team, Standout Arts, Waynesboro's top-rated web designer, and CPA Roy Carter. If you would like to become a sponsor of the At Home with the Wayne series, a partner in the arts, or make a donation to the Wayne Theater, please click on waynetheater.org in the link of the description of this post just above the comment section. Once on our website, look for the orange box that says At Home with the Wayne. Click on Donate Now to make a donation or become a sponsor if you wish to become a sponsor of any of our programming. We appreciate any support you can give. And now, here is Lesley.
Hello, my name is Lesley Larsen. I'm a contributing director of original programming at the Wayne Theater, and I am thrilled to welcome you all to our At Home with the Wayne live stream tonight. Tonight is super special because we're focusing on theater education, which is something that is very near and dear to my heart and to the hearts of the guests here, who are two of the top theater educators in the area. Before I introduce them, I'd love to get some questions from you all about whether how to get your child involved in theater in high school, or the values of teaching your children theater, or any other questions you might have for our guests. So I'd love to now welcome Amy Neal Bussey of Stuarts Draft High School and Cassy Maxton-Whitacre of the Governor School. Amy, I want to start with you. I'd love for you to give us a brief introduction about yourself, where you went to school, what brought you to the theater, etc. So take it away.
Hi. Well, I went to high school, at least most of high school, right outside of Chicago. Had a wonderful theater department there, and some great teachers and some really wonderful experiences. I had no idea how good I had it. We had 3 theaters in our high school and 5 theater teachers. That is not the norm around here. So when I went to college, I didn't know if I wanted to do biology or theater, and quickly found that biology was not my thing. I went to University of Richmond, and then I transferred to JMU to do theater. I actually graduated from Mary Baldwin and did my teaching training there, and that was like 12 years later. In between, I worked at the Barter Theater and then at Theater Bristol, and was director of education there, and spent several years directing plays and doing programming for kids in the community. So what brought me to
Awesome. Wow.
teaching actually was my own kids.
Wanting to teach your own children?
Right? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I think the internet just took up for a minute. I said my own kids because I was working really late hours all the time, and when my second child was born, decided that that just was not what I wanted to do for my family anymore, and thought, well, I can teach and still do all the things I love with directing and working with kids, and have, I thought, a little better schedule. It doesn't always work out that way though, but it's been
Certainly.
great.
Cool. Wonderful. Thank you. Cassy, what about you? Tell us your
So
tale.
I'm from a small town in Ohio, and went to a fairly basic high school in Ohio, and just had one theater teacher doing fairly, traditional type pieces, but I loved it. And we also had this really, really cool arts organization. I'm from a town outside of Dayton, Ohio. We had this really cool arts organization called the Muse Machine, which was designed to foster interest in all of the arts throughout the entire Miami Valley area. And so I was really interested in that, really involved. So we got to see opera and ballet and theater through that as well. So that was really, really cool. And I did some things with Dayton Playhouse, and worked with an amazing director there, named Jean Howitt Berry, who's one of my Facebook friends. So maybe she'll see this. And so I wanted to, I went to school. I was kind of like Amy. I was like pre-med for 2 days, and then was like, I don't think I want to do that. And I took a theater class and got involved in a few things. And I was like, no, this is definitely what I want to do. So my path was, I wanted to do what Amy did. I wanted to do what those people had done for me when I was younger, which was work in theater education for some kind of arts organization. So it wasn't until I lived in New York for a little while. I did about 4 professional auditions, was like, nope, this is a terrible life for me. And I worked for a little bit for Theater Works USA, which is a children's theater company in New York. And then after I moved here, I decided that it was time to kind of get cracking on the theater education track. So I did the teaching program at Mary Baldwin. My undergrad is from Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, but I did the teaching certification at Mary Baldwin, and then, wanted to teach in a regular classroom. And then instead of transitioning over to a theater company, I have just stayed in a regular classroom, which is great. So
Your classroom is a little unique, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So I don't know if y'all know this, but I've been involved in theater since I was about 5, but it really wasn't until I was in high school that I really fell in love with it and considered it to be something that I could actually do. And professionally. And I credit that to an amazing high school theater teacher. Her name was Nikki Burgett. So I have a super soft spot in my heart for high school theater teachers because one literally changed my life. And I'd love to hear from you all as educators. What do you love about being a theater educator? Do you have any favorite experiences working with students or things like that? Cassy, I want to start with you. You just recently received the Teacher of the Year award at the Governor's School, and you work in a really unique environment. Can you explain a little bit about your school?
Sure. So the governor's school, for people who don't know it, is a magnet style pullout program where students from all 7 area high schools can come in and take intensive classes in their different areas. And so I teach the theater program, and so my students come in and take more intensive theater history and dramatic literature classes, acting, and guest artist classes, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So it's really, really awesome. I love working with that pool of kids because obviously they have to really want to do theater. Whether they want to do it for the rest of their lives or not doesn't matter, but to take that extra time out of their schedule and put in that extra effort and the extra level of work, they really want to come there. They tend to be very talented, very hardworking. Sometimes they're more talented than they realize. And so that's one of my fun things, is when I can like help a kid really see like, no, yeah, you're good. Like, for real, you're good. Stop doubting yourself. My favorite thing is when, and this happens a lot, is when, as theater educators, we ask our students to do a lot of really weird stuff, like really weird stuff, and we often don't explain it. And I love when I, say something weird, and then, walk around like you're in a room full of taffy, and they're just like, okay. And they do it. And then, they come back with, they end up finding these really interesting and, insightful connections, which of course is the goal of all the weird stuff that we're doing. But my students are so good about recognizing those connections and being able to, internalize those concepts and stuff, that it's really exciting to watch them develop over the 2 years that I have them.
That's wonderful. That's great. Amy, what about you? You received the Dobrin Award, as well as having received awards for your students. Your students receiving awards for performances in regional and state competitions. What do you love about being a theater educator? Do you have favorite experiences or any other insight? Oh, I think we've got you frozen a little bit, Amy. Huh.
Oh, are you?
Oh, wait, I hear you now.
Okay,
Amy.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sorry. I said I love more than anything else the connection with the kids, and watching them grow from, freshmen who are just getting used to this new world they're in, to young adults, and seeing how they develop and change during that time. And the ones that I get to work with for all 4 years, seeing how theater helps to shape who they are and who they're becoming. It is just an amazing experience to watch a kid come alive.
I love that. That's really the power, I think, of theater. And I want us to talk about that in just a moment as we talk about, being a theater educator. Amy, what do you consider to be some of the challenges? Like, it's super rewarding, but I also am sure that it's immensely challenging. So what are some of the challenges of being a theater educator?
I think there's a lot of challenges. I think for most of us, one of the biggest challenges is that generally we're a one-person show. There are schools in the state where there are multiple theater teachers in the school, but it's definitely the exception and not the rule. So, I was not trained as a lighting designer or a set designer. My skills have had to grow, and I've had to learn a lot, just to be able to put on a show. when we're doing something in professional theater, even in community theater. There's lots of different people doing lots of different jobs. In educational theater, it is generally just the teacher. The buck stops there. And, along with the students and the volunteers that you can find to work with you. And they are invaluable. I couldn't do what I do without them. But I'd say just being responsible for the whole shebang is one of the biggest things that can be really discouraging, can be a challenge. I think budgets are too. There's not a lot of money to go around, and not much of it comes our way. So you have to not only be really skilled at putting on productions and teaching and connecting with students, you have to figure out how to also become a money manager and a fundraiser. And that's not what most of us got into theater to do. So.
Sure. Well, speaking of budgets and fundraising, you regularly take your students on trips either to the Virginia Theater Festival, which is a yearly festival, or to New York City. And we're going to see some of the pictures of you all on these trips now. I'd love to hear. It sounds like it's not an easy thing to make happen. So what's the point in doing that? Why would you do that?
I think it's so important for kids to get outside of their world and see something that is not what they're used to, and to experience professional theater live, because it's so different to be sitting in a live theater than to be watching it on a screen. So for so many kids, it just opens up a whole new world that they didn't know about. So, that enrichment opportunity that it gives them, whether or not they're going into theater as a career, is invaluable. Just to know that the world is a bigger place, and that there's lots of things in the world that they have not seen before, and that they're a part of that and can contribute.
That's great. That's wonderful. Cassy, how do you work to enrich your own students' experience? How do you, what do you try to do to make it a different or a unique experience for them?
Like Amy, I do some field trips, not as many as she has. It's been a few years since I've taken a big one like that because baby is not a baby anymore. I always take them to the Blackfriars. I take them to JMU sometimes. In the past, we've done VTA as well in Philadelphia and DC, Washington, DC. But then closer to home, the governor's school has this really cool thing for the arts department, which is that we have these guest artists. And so it's actually worked into the students' class schedule that we can have these. It's sort of like doing special topics. We call it craft and skills. And so we bring in guest artists from the community to focus a little more intensively for a shorter period of time on a skill set that they might not get to practice in a regular theater classroom. So we've done things like just general like audition preparation, like picking out your material, cutting it, knowing how to interact with, the accompanist and the adjudicators and things like that. Stage makeup. I have a professional stage makeup artist in the area named Joe Hurt, who comes in and does a great overview of stage makeup class. Got some local filmmakers who moved back here recently from California, Zach Laliberte and Lise Peterson, and they're awesome. They've come in and done a filmmaking class with my student. Barbara Spillman-Lawson takes them through a developing children's theater thing, and then they like build a play from the ground up and then go perform it at my daughter's preschool. And so, Lindsay Walters goes through choreography. Kathy LaFont teaches music, and Mary Evans Lott teaches audition. And so, just working with all these people who have worked professionally and can really give them that professional expertise, and to really be able to focus on a really specific topic like that is really cool for them. That's a really fun experience for them.
That's wonderful. How lucky your students are. We're going to be showing some pictures of your productions and a clip of a rehearsal for a show that you recently did. Cassy, can you briefly tell us about Hello Girls and that experience?
Absolutely. So our winter production this year was the high school premiere of the Hello Girls. We were just the second production ever since it premiered at the Prospect Theater. And it was just an opportunity that I sort of ran across working with the awesome people at Theatrical Rights Worldwide, that they were looking to start to license that show to a few schools. But since it hadn't been performed at a high school, it meant that, we were going to be a little bit on our own as far as making it a high school sized cast and things like that, but I read the play and I just loved it. It's about women who volunteered to serve as telephone operators during World War One, and they had to be telephone operators. They had to speak French very fluently. They went all the way to like the fighting lines, and just it's this really amazing true story. It has beautiful music, awesome female characters, which I'm always looking for. Amy Sun was in it. um, and I mean, I read it and I was like, man, this is a cool piece of theater. I wish it had more people in it. And I emailed the publishers and they said, well, let's see if we can find a way to put more people in it. And so then they said that if we wanted to take on being the first high school to do it and adding some people and expanding the cast and stuff, that we could do that. So that was awesome and so fun and so rewarding.
Wow, what a unique treat. Like I'm salivating. I'm super jealous as a director to have that kind of
It's awesome
of
because
power.
there was no chorus or ensemble written into it really. All the main characters just played all the bit parts. So we undoubled all that and then added ensemble and added a lot of texture on the stage with them.
That's great. And what a good opportunity for your students to work with a live production like that. That's incredible. Let's go on and see a clip from it. And this is a clip of a rehearsal that we're going to see several of your students doing some rehearsal work for it. Let's see.
Want to join the army? They'll take you. If you're a man and you really rather not join, they might make you. If you're a man who's nervous about selective service, every day you pray, don't pick me. But let a female sign up, the brass will tell her line up, and she will see how selective the service can be. We sent them letters of reference, filled out every form they could want. We showed incredible deference after their interrogation, nonchalant. They did their darndest to shake us up, none of that could make us upset. We've been pressed and assessed and we passed every test, but we aren't in the army yet.
From Idaho.
That's me, sir.
Your French is surprisingly good for someone whose occupation is listed as farm girl.
Each week we see them eliminate anyone who's not up to snuff. Step forward. Keep watch them screen and discriminate, weeding out the women who are not quite tough enough. They search for any impurity, closing a security threat. 1, 2, 3, and you need to determine who's just a bit too German, and we aren't in the army yet.
Bertha Hunt?
Here.
You're aware that the Army is looking for unmarried women?
Yes, I understand that. Rube and I have children, and he took us that last week.
Probed and disrobed by a team of physicians, but we aren't in the army. Not in the army. We confront, protect, and defend Inquisition, but we aren't in the army. We're not in the army. The camels, the marvellous, poking and prodding us, scouring and scouring for anything odd in us. And if I let them jar me, then they're bound to bar me, and we aren't in the army yet.
So you guys are in the back doing your rotations. You guys are in the front with your push-ups.
I gotta be in the service. I got a sweetheart I wanna embarrass.
Now let's
I wanna give the hunt, maybe bring one stick. Also, I'd love to see Paris. I got a good reason for joining this fight. Who knew that I'd have to fight for that right? Been cruel day after day, because no
I love that clip. Thank you, Cassie, for sharing it with us. Amy, your production of Into the Woods was the last live theater I saw before quarantine. And I was so moved, like to tears during your show on so many levels, from the set to the costumes to the acting and the music. And I had to keep reminding myself that these were teenagers doing a high school production. And that's one thing I've always been really amazed by with your productions, is the quality of the high production quality. So I was wondering if you could just speak to that for a moment, about how you achieve such, I'm going to use the word excellence, Amy, but how you achieve such excellence. And do you have any advice for future educators as they're trying to be the next Amy Bussey?
Thank you. You're very flattering. That show was special. And, obviously we didn't know there was going to be a pandemic when we chose it. But I think the message of the show, that idea that no one is alone, that we are all in this together, just echoes so poignantly right now. So I too am very glad that that was the thing that we did right before we went into this lockdown. And I'm so thankful that the students got to perform, that we got a chance to actually do the show, because I wasn't sure that we were going to be able to. As far as production qualities, I mean, particularly with the musical, we're working far in advance. And what I said earlier about it being a one-person show, it is, but there are a lot of people that are a part of the show that I'm putting on. So I really believe in learning by doing. So my students are very involved in the design process, and I have student stage managers and student designers and student technicians all through. I also have some wonderful adults in the community that help, some that are not theater people to begin with, but have just kind of been pulled in. I have a wonderful gentleman, Pete Mccarthy, that has been building sets for me for 13 years now. And, he didn't know really much about theater when he started. He was just a construction guy, but he has learned and dreamed along with me and designed and built some amazing things. And I've got some fabulous parents that have worked with me for years, sometimes even long after their children have left and graduated. So it takes a community, and it takes a while to build that community. So I think for a new theater teacher, I'd say be patient, make connections. Don't say no to anything anybody has to offer. If you can't use it right now, you may be able to down the road. So saying yes always, just like improv.
Yes, I love it. I love it. You both work professionally as well, and I'd like to show a few pictures of you all working in the community. I think that that's really important to your students. I was wondering if Cassie, you might be able to, and Amy, be thinking about it as well, if you have any memorable experience with students, or in the collaboration that doing something like musical theater requires. We had a question asking about, do you guys prefer musicals, bringing together those art departments, all of those departments. So Cassie, I'm going to turn that to you. Do you have any memorable experiences, or I'm totally putting you on the spot now?
That's okay. No, honestly, you know what? Every show that I've directed has been memorable in one way, shape, or form. I have kind of, under the mentorship of Diane Stewart, have kind of learned that very collaborative directing style, and am a very big fan of having the students help me create the piece. And so we always feel like it's ours. Amy got to see Arabian Nights, which I did a few years ago because her daughter was the lead, and it was a beautiful show that we did it with no set, and we crafted everything with the actors' bodies, doing a lot of viewpoints kind of things. We did that with the Hello Girls. I did that with Sense and Sensibility, especially with my gossips, and made them do all kinds of strange things. And I really enjoy that. I love working that way, and I think that at the end of the day and at the end of the show, those students really feel a certain amount of ownership over that piece. And so that, that's really important to me, that they feel like it's something that we created together. So yes, every show has been memorable in different ways, but especially when we can really feel like we're making it together.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Amy, do you have any other shows that you want to touch on about our students' memorable experiences?
I have a couple that are a little different from what Cassy just said. I don't always get kids who are theater kids in my class because I'm not at that magnet school. And sometimes I get kids who really don't want to be there, but their parents or guidance has put them in there, and that's where they are. And sometimes we just get through the semester, but other times there's something that happens in that class that really transforms them in a way. And those are some of the moments that are the most memorable to me. I had a young man who he was a special ed student, was in my class, and I was told at the beginning of the semester that he couldn't do, and a whole list of things that he would not be able to do, including memorizing scripts. And I'm kind of going, oh, well, how is this going to work? But darned if that kid didn't do amazing at everything. And his final project, he did a full memorized monologue from the Glass Menagerie, and he felt every bit of it, and he emoted the whole thing. And I mean, so seeing a student like that get up on stage and do something that nobody has ever thought they could do before, there's just no experience like it. It's amazing.
That's wonderful. And that to me speaks to the power of theater, that you don't have to be going to be a professional theater actor, director, right, even to be a theater teacher, but that theater can impact us all on so many levels. And I really, I was already had y'all at high, like with, I held you all with high esteem before I got to chat with you and get to know you a little bit more for this live stream. And I constantly bow down at your feet, even more now, y'all. The work that you do, I mean, I'm sure I'm hyperbolic, but I do believe that you guys are doing such important work. Theater is so important to the lives of children everywhere. And I'm so glad that your students have you. I'm getting emotional. We're really lucky in this valley to have such incredible teachers like you. So I want to thank you guys for sharing your time, sharing your talents, and especially for being willing to come and talk to us and give some insight into the world of a theater educator a little bit more. So you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much. And keep sending actors to my way so that I can play with them at the Wayne, please. Because your students are so well trained. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks y'all so much. I appreciate it. You're the best.
Thank you, Lesley. Thank you so much
for having us.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for listening and for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. Again, we're so lucky in this area to have Amy, Neil Bussey, and Cassy Maxton-Whitacre as both performers, directors, but especially teachers. So thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week for our next live stream at Home with the Wayne. Thank you.
Thank you, Lesley. The dedication and love of the students and the arts surely shines through the work from Amy and Cassy. We are so fortunate to have performance arts in our schools. And thank you all for watching our At Home with the Wayne presentation. Please keep checking our Facebook page and YouTube channel for lots more fun from the Wayne. These presentations would not be possible without the support of our Wayne Theater patrons, partners, sponsors, and friends. Once again, we would like to thank our month of May At Home with the Wayne sponsors: CPA, Roy Carter; Standout Arts, Waynesboro's top-rated web designer; and KK Homes, your dream, our team. If you would like to become a sponsor of the At Home with the Wayne series, a partner in the arts, or make a donation to the Wayne Theater, please click on the waynetheater.org link in the description of this post, just above the comment section. Once on our website, look for the orange box that says At Home with the Wayne. Click on Donate Now to make a donation, or click on Become a Sponsor if you wish to become a sponsor of any of our programming. We appreciate any support you can give. On next Wednesday's At Home with the Wayne, our host will be Hank Fitzgerald, the Director of Original Programming. Hank will be talking with choreographers Emmanuel Ciccone and Sarah Christensen. Sarah was most recently at the Wayne as the choreographer of Matilda the musical, and Emmanuel choreographed Legally Blonde this past spring. They will be sharing with us some electrifying dance videos and the behind-the-scenes looks as what it takes to choreograph a stage musical. Thank you again for joining us this evening. Be safe, be hopeful, stay home, check in on your loved ones, and see you next time at Home with the Wayne. Good night.